What's going on, everybody? Ramdean and Black with you here in our downtown studios. News coming out of the Travis Browne camp. He's decided to take his camp to the Black House, which is in Los Angeles. It makes sense considering, you know what, I need a fresh perspective. It's not that far away from Ronda's place, so we can still hang out. I can still be close by and go and get world-class training. That's one thing we know about California, Southern California, some of the best training facilities in all of the world.
I'm not going to get into, what's this coach's name?
Edmund.
I'm not going to get into that. That poor guy has been just like...
He's got his, yeah.
He holds mitts and he's a kickboxing coach. And like for the amount of hate that this guy has had to deal with, let's not even go into that.
Yeah.
But for Travis Browne, now there's photos of him training there. That means he went in and got some scrimmages in. Or it means that there's more than that. It's really hard to say. I'll tell you, I'm working on a breakdown right now for the UFC. They asked me to do something. I may be sitting next week with Travis Browne, looking at footage of his opponent, a little segment we're calling Know Your Enemy, where we're looking at footage of Derrick Lewis, and I've got some footage I've pulled to watch with him, and I've got some footage of Browne. And man, when you comb over Travis Browne's career,
yeah.
You comb over, you go, and you start pulling together not just the big highlights, the Struve Superman punch and catching Brendan stepping back, and there's tons of them. Mitrione slamming him through the air, but the subtleties. When you talk about movement and mobility that we're seeing everywhere, this guy was doing the high level of light, bounce on your footwork before Stipe was doing that. This is a great fighter. This is a great athlete. When you comb back through that and you sift through it, you look at it and go, this is a brilliant heavyweight. So for him to get different looks and different vibes and get in with some different heavyweights, some young guys, and start to get that experience, you can see him, you can imagine him getting some dominant rounds in some different gyms, and it'll be good for him.
And one of the things I think fight fans, they understood early when we first saw happen inside the UFC is all the things you pointed out. He was ridiculously talented. He was light on his feet. He could take a punch. He was super quick. He could change directions very, very well. He utilized all of his weapons, and he was 6'7". We all had a feeling at one point or another, this guy's going to challenge for the UFC heavyweight championship of the world. Maybe he will become the heavyweight champion. What does he need to do to tweak all those things so everything is firing in perfect harmony?
Yeah, that's just it. You're almost laying it out there. It's like when somebody has all of that, it's just fine-tuning it all. And not just the skills, but the flow and the mind and the feel and the confidence. And I just said I wouldn't get into Edmund, but whether it's him or a different coach, the wrong voice in your head, that noise in there, instead of that serene, whatever that beat and whatever that rhythm, whatever that song you like to hear, you've got some noise, you've got some stress. When you've seen stressed out corners, you get stressed out fighters. So the right environment, the right soup, the right stew. You put in a dash of water chestnuts, and you put some corn in there, you stir it up at just the right temperature, and he's got it all there. He's got it all there. It's just got to get it flowing again, get it humming again. That first fight with Verdum, Verdum, heavyweight champion of the world, we've seen him beat the best in the world. And he had some brilliant moments against Verdum, was outstriking him at different times, was out-wrestling him at different times, was getting up from under Verdum, that first fight. The second one, couldn't get it going. Maybe that is that noise. But the right mindset, the right flow, the right fitness, the right shape, and he can beat anyone in the world at heavyweight.
Is it important to travel? When you go to, let's say, Parabellum, for example, you're seeing a lot of similar body types, from 135 pounds up to 185 pounds. If you're Travis Browne and you look at the heavyweight division, there's all different types of bodies, and there's a good chance that these aren't in every single training room that you're in. Is it important that he goes out and looks for different body types?
Where are you going to find a Derrick Lewis?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Derrick Lewis, in combing over his work to break down with Travis, if we end up doing that next week, you look at this guy, you see how big he is, you see how powerful he is, but he's super mobile and shockingly agile. Yes, it looks a little...
But not refined.
But not refined.
Yeah.
So that's a very unique thing. Because Mark Hunt is huge and powerful and agile, but super refined. Yeah. So would it benefit you to be able to work with a Mark Hunt, say? It's a tough one to get ready for. He doesn't express fighting the way that other heavyweights do. And he has a preferred route. Derrick Lewis. If we can hurt you like he did with Gabe Gonzaga out, great, great, that'll be good. If that doesn't quite work, that last punch will go to an underhook. If I'm not landing it on your body, I'll get up high underneath. If we get a body lock and we rip you to the ground, it's that old school route. You know, Josh Barnett used to play that route. Punches to body lock to down to weight to more and more dominant position to punch you out or choke you. He's got his own rudimentary version of that. And if he stands back out and pass and punch. So it's a very specific guy to get ready for. But when I compare and contrast just the purity of skill, Travis Browne is on another level than Derrick Lewis. But Derrick Lewis is a whole other animal, and psychologically, he has no problem whatever's happening. Oh, he's on the bottom? Derrick Lewis is quite confident that that's going to change, and Derrick Lewis will be the one to change it. Derrick Lewis is getting on the wrong end of punches. Derrick Lewis is quite confident that Derrick Lewis can change that. That Derrick Lewis is certain that there is no bad position for him. So it's a super cool fight. And it's going to be really fun if we get down there next week and break that down with Travis.
When you think of this heavyweight fight, does Travis Browne, does he play the distance game immediately? Or is Derrick Lewis, do you expect him to come out, be first, attack Travis Browne? Or is it going to be Travis Browne playing the long-range attack game first, and then Lewis trying to find his way in?
Lewis has got to get... He doesn't gotta. I mean, he's got... It was a 4 or a 5 piece that he got Gabe with and took Gabe out, but Travis is on a much smoother level than Gabe Gonzaga was at that fight. If Travis Browne is moving his feet and he's playing and he's drawing him in and he's moving away on angles, that's looking real good for him. But if you get to that clinch, Browne rarely gets taken down. When he does, he ends up on top. And he has a real great ability from that clinch to just whip it out, forearm to collarbones, pressure on the back of the head, and knees and elbows from there. This is a fight Travis Browne, if he's on his game and he's at his best, should win. But Derrick Lewis ain't going to be hearing that. Derrick Lewis has heard that a million times. He's heard he shouldn't be able to handle position A and range X, and he does all the time. So it's a very hard fight.
Travis Browne in a must-win situation if he wants to be a part of that title conversation. Derrick Lewis, knock out Travis Browne, and people will know your name.